Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be talking about what I wanted to do when I first started college compared to what I'm doing now. So I started college in 2011 at Michigan State University as a kinesiology major. So for those of you that don't know, kinesiology is the study of human movement. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. I'm not a physical therapist now. I shadowed a physical therapist in high school, my freshman and sophomore year of college. I also shadowed a physical therapist and I shadowed an occupational therapist, and let's just say it was super boring. In high school, I liked it more, maybe because I just thought it was cool. But when I got to college, I was like, I can't do this every day. Like, I'm going to be bored. I'm going to fall asleep at work. I just can't do this. So I want to say my junior year of college, I realized that I needed to change my major, not just because I didn't like my major, but more so because I was failing classes. So a lot of my friends don't know this because I would never tell them that I failed classes back then, but now I use it as a way to be encouraging to other people who may be struggling in school. But my freshman year, actually first semester, I was on academic probation. Yes, me with a master's degree now. I was on academic probation, and that was not fun. That was not me. In high school, I had a 3.6 GPA. I was on the honor roll my whole life, and then I get to college, and it's like I'm a dummy. Like, what was I doing with my life? So the reason why I think I was failing classes is because I hated my major, and I just never liked being in class. Sometimes I would just be like, why am I here? I don't even want to learn about this stuff. I don't even know what they're saying. I never went to office hours. I was just so over it. And so I want to say, like, once I finally I took a chemistry class the summer of my sophomore year, I want to say, and I was like the third class that I failed. So I was like, yeah, it's not my thing. Probably should change my major. So started looking at other majors at Michigan State, and I was like, okay, what do you like to do? So one thing I do like to do, I like to write. I'm really good at it, I would say. To kind of toot my own horn there. I'm really good at writing. I've always liked to write creatively. I'm really good at coming up with stories in my head. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I'm always like thinking of all these stories and stuff in my head. So I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll try writing. And so growing up, my mom loves to watch the news. I hated watching the news because I always thought it was like scary. And I say scary because I saw all this bad stuff happening on the news, and I just did not want to, watch that. I just didn't. So I would say my junior year, when someone said, oh, you can try journalism. I'm like, what is that? Like, never heard of that before. So they was like, that's pretty much, the people who are on the news. I'm like, I didn't know that that's what it was called, but sure, like, let's try it. I'm good at writing. Let's try this journalism stuff. Yeah, literally journalism stuff. So junior year, I started taking classes for journalism. First semester of journalism, I made the dean's list. I'm like, okay, maybe this is for me. Maybe I can do this. Like, this is more of my style. I enjoy class. I was having fun doing my homework. Like, imagine that, having fun doing your homework. Sounds crazy, I know. But I was enjoying doing my homework. I was enjoying writing stories. I did have this one professor who was like super hard on me, and to this day, I totally appreciate it, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be as successful as I am now. But basically, I had this one professor who was like so hard on me. I know I wrote a paper in his class one day, and I like misspelled something, and because, as a journalist, having a mistake, like a spelling mistake, is like a big no-no. Like, you pretty much you need to correct yourself. And so I spelled someone's name wrong, and he failed me on my paper, and I like literally argued with this man, like, why would you fail me when I worked really hard on this paper? Like, I think the lady's last name was like Wood. I put Woods with an S, And he was like, it doesn't matter, you can't have an S at the end of her name, that's not how you spell it. So we literally went back and forth about this paper, and he finally said, you know what, I'll let you rewrite the paper, basically meaning take the S off of her name and I'll average the grades that you would have got in this failing grade. I was so mad at him. Like, why would you do that to me when you know I worked really hard on this? And so I just, you know what, I'm just like, just breathe and accept the grade. It is what it is. So I actually wound up 4-pointing that class, and to this day I can still remember that teacher and I still communicate with him. He actually wrote me a letter of recommendation for grad school and for my first job. So I just really appreciate the fact that he was in my corner at that time, because had he not been in my corner, had he just said, you know what, you're right, let me just change this grade, I wouldn't necessarily take what I'm doing so seriously right now. And so I really, 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 really appreciate him for that. So continuing on with junior/senior year, I decided that, you know, it's time for me to have an internship. Well, I shouldn't say it was time for me to have an internship. I need to want to graduate. So I decided, like, let me start looking for an internship that would pretty much be suitable for what I want to do. So my concentration was in sports reporting at first. Why? I don't know, because I don't know anything about sports. All I know is that I like basketball. I don't really like football like that, but I'll watch it. So I don't even know why I thought that was okay. I changed my concentration to editorial reporting because I think for broadcasting I had to have like too many credits, and by that time I would be like into a 6th year, and I wasn't, no, that just was not acceptable for me. Like, I wasn't about to be in college for 6 years. No, just, I mean, and that was my journey. I didn't want to be in college for 6 years. Other people are okay with that. That's their journey. I'm not judging them by any means at all. I just knew that I was ready to be done with college. Like, I had enough. So I chose editorial reporting, and with editorial reporting, it's pretty much like writing for newspapers and magazines. So while I was being in editorial reporting, journalism like major/concentration, I was doing an internship that was broadcast. Let's just say that taught me what I didn't want to do. So while I was studying editorial reporting, like I said, my internship was for broadcast. So as a broadcast intern, I pretty much did reporting. I didn't think about production at the time. I just knew that I wanted to be on camera because I'm like, I like how I look. I could work on the way my voice sounds, because at that time I really didn't like hearing myself on camera. But I figured that was something I could work on later in life. But I didn't like it, to say the least. I didn't like what I was doing as far as like the way I had to do the storytelling. And I really hated going out and trying to find people to talk to and asking them to be on camera. That is literally the hardest thing ever, and I don't know if I would ever do that again. So as a reporter, you have to go out and find random people to talk to. And not only do you have to find these random people to talk to, you have to make sure the sound is right. You have to make sure that the lighting is right. You have to make sure that they're white balanced, meaning that there's no, like, the lighting is good, basically, so there's like no shadow and all that kind of stuff. You have to make sure that the rule of thirds, like, there's so many rules that you have to be thinking about as a reporter, and I just didn't want to think about all that. That just seemed like too much for me in a 30-second time frame of trying to get a 30-second interview that was going to go into a 1:30 segment on TV. Like, it was a big no for me. So I decided that even though I didn't like necessarily the broadcasting side of things as a reporter, I would still try to be in the broadcast field. So I got my first job as a producer at a local news station in Lansing, Michigan. Go figure. I stayed in Lansing, which is where Michigan State was. Well, Michigan State is in East Lansing. But essentially, I stayed in Lansing for a year and 7 months before I moved to Seattle now. But I got a job as a producer. I was super excited because I'm like, I have no experience doing this, but they're trusting me, so I'm gonna show them why they should trust me. I had just graduated the month before I started my new job, and I would say I was pretty good at producing. It took me, I want to say, from the time I started college to about my junior year, so about 3 years into college, for me to really figure out like what I wanted to do. If you're having trouble with finding out what you want to do, start with what are your hobbies. So for me, like I said, I like to write. If I could write for free, I would probably do so. And you know, that's pretty much what this blog is, and what me recording these videos for is. It's me doing what I love for free. And so I decided that I was okay with that. If I had to pick a job that I would do for free, that is what I would do. And that's why I think I'm so good at it now, because it's something I'm really passionate about. And so when you're thinking about what you want to do in your life, it's okay to not know what you want to do, but it's not okay to not try to find what you want to do. I'm challenging you to write down 10 hobbies. You can leave them in the comments, you can email them to me, but write down 10 hobbies that you love. And don't write down hobbies that you know you have no dream of being in a career for. So for example, if you say, oh, I'm really good at playing basketball, but you know you don't want to be a basketball player, I mean, that's a good hobby to have, but why write it down if that's not something that you're going to pursue in life? If you know you like to play an instrument and you want to be a musician, that's something that you should write down. So just keep that in mind when you're writing down these hobbies. Like, is this something that I really can see myself doing forever for free? And is this something that I'm really going to pursue? Because if it's not something you're really going to pursue, you're wasting your time. And I'm sorry to say this, but life continues to go on, whether you decide to go on with it and be successful, or whether you decide to stay still. That's up to you, because time will continue to tick, and we want you to be moving along with time. We want time to have to catch up with you, and that's pretty much impossible. So we want to do the impossible. So with that being said, like I said, I want you to list your hobbies down below in the comment section, or email them to me, whichever you feel more comfortable with, and maybe I can help you think of things that you might be good at, or things just that I can think of to help you put those goals into action. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you can always email me, or you can put them in the comments below. See you next time.